In this short video, I'm going to take you through the changes in look between GeoMedia 2018 and GeoMedia 6.1, which is the version that the YouTube videos were recorded in. So the first thing you need to do is I did upload a copy of revised labs that have some annotation on them that will help you get through the exercises because of this different look. So the first thing you want to do is go to the content section of Blackboard, left click and down. Oh, that's the fourth item down. Annotated labs for GeoMedia 15. The look of GeoMedia 15 and GeoMedia 2018 are the same. So we'll left click on that. And it's a zip file, so it's going to ask you to save it. You click OK. It's going to ask you where to put it. I'm putting it on my desktop. Left click for save. Then I'm going to go up into downloads and open that. And you'll notice there are labs 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. The reason there are no more labs is that by the time you get through lab 6, all the differences in look should be taken care of and you should have internalized them. So let's open up lab 1 and take a look at it quick. Okay, so annotations are in red font, and you'll notice here on part A, instruction 3 says click warehouse new connection. What you need to do in the newer version is click manage data on the ribbon. I'll show you this in a minute. Then warehouse, then new warehouse connection. From that point forward, all the windows look virtually the same. For click legend in item 6, add legend entry, now you click home on the ribbon at the top, legends, add legend entry. That's home tab, not on the ribbon. The ribbon will include legend, add legend entry. For view and check north arrow, you'll first have to click toolbox tab, then north arrow. So that's what the annotated labs look like. You need to have them by your side when you're working in the GeoMedia environment. Minimize this. We're going to go to GeoMedia for a moment. Okay, this large blue area is known as the ribbon, and these are the tabs I'm talking about with respect to having to click them first. And you can also hover over an operation on the ribbon and it'll tell you exactly what that particular button will accomplish. So home tab is the default opening tab for GeoMedia. If we wanted to add a legend entry, we would roll across here to legend, left click the drop down, left click add legend entry. This pop-up window, add legend entry window, looks the same in GeoMedia 2018 as it does in GeoMedia 6.1. So from that point forward, the videos will take you right through all the steps. So let's cancel that. If you want to measure distance, you left click on this button, left click on measure distance or area. If you're measuring distance and you want to make sure your units are correct, you'll notice here we're doing linear features and the total is 0, but it's in meters. If you want it in feet, you left click on this little icon, go to units and formats tab, it's already there, left click to highlight distance, and we can change the units then to feet. If you're doing it in feet, right there. Most of what we'll do will be in miles or kilometers. So if we wanted it in miles, click OK. And then you notice that the annotation to the side of the total distance now is in miles. So let's close that. Let's go to the next tab over, which is Manage Data. So if I ask you to connect to a warehouse, we're on the Manage Data tab. Actually, it's Manage Data ribbon, and under Warehouse all the way to the left click the drop down. Sometimes this drop down takes a while to load depending on how much RAM is on your system. You can look at warehouse connections here, so it shows you a list of them. I left clicked on that, should take a moment. And there's the list of connections. There's only one open. Its name is US Sample Dataset. It's on the C drive in the warehouse folder, and it's US Sample Data Microsoft Access Database, and the code for that is .mdb. Let's close that. Suppose I ask you to create a new warehouse. You go to Warehouse drop-down, left click, New Warehouse. The look of the warehouse template is the same as it is on GeoMedia 6.1. I have to make a comment here though. Do not blow through this screen because it defaults to GeoPackage template.gpkg. Everything you do in my course will be a Microsoft Access template. So we would click that and then New. All of these pop-up windows, this is a new warehouse window, will look the same as in the videos on YouTube. I'm going to cancel out of that. If we wanted to make a warehouse connection, left click the drop down, New Warehouse Connection. Here you have to tell GeoMedia what sort of connection you're making. This is Microsoft Access Database. Most of what your work will be in will be either Access or ArcView shapefiles. It already says Access Connection 1. If you wanted to change that to something else, you could put Access and name whatever Microsoft Access database you're connecting to. Let's just say US Sample. You'll want to do that because in some of the exercises you have 3 or 4 warehouse connections open, and that helps you understand what you're looking at. So let's cancel out of that. And let's go to, if I ask you to add an attribute to a feature, it's on the Manage Data tab under Features. Left click on that button. Now you'll notice on the feature class definition window that looks just like GeoMedia 6.1, we have a plus to the left of US Sample Dataset. That means there are tables in there that represent map objects or features on this map. So left click the plus to expand it, and these are all the features that are in there. There's a polygon feature, counties, and notice the icons, a point feature for cities, a line feature for interstates, and this feature right here, this icon indicates that's a raster file. This icon here indicates that it is a text feature. So in GeoMedia, the vector features that we work with normally on warehouses are points, lines, and polygons. Text is a text feature, but it doesn't have the topological significance that other features like points, lines, and polygons do. This window looks exactly the same as 6.1. We'll close that. If I ask you to output to a feature class that you mined from another database, you would have to click Manage Data. If you were on home, you would have to click Manage Data, output the feature classes, left click the button. This window, output to feature classes, looks exactly the same as it does in GeoMedia 6.1. So those operations be fine. Let's left click on the next tab, Analysis. That opens up the Analysis ribbon. If I ask you to make a attribute query and you were on Manage Data, you would have to left click the Analysis tab, left click the Attribute Query button. This window looks exactly the same, the Attribute Query window, as it does in 6.1. Let's cancel that. I can't think of anything else on this ribbon that you'll have a problem finding once you understand the changes. So the changes are basically, we have tabs now with ribbons below it that have all the options you can accomplish, those operations you can accomplish from that tab. Let's left click on Vector tab. Vector tab has to do with vector features. So if we wanted to, for example, add text and labels, this is sort of a major change from 6.1 to 2018. You have to go to Vector because we're talking about a vector feature, and left click on Text and Labels and insert label. This window, insert label window, is exactly the same as the video on 6.1, except you have to follow a different pathway to get to it. So we're going to cancel that. Let's left click on raster. In 6.1, you could add raster very easily by clicking on a particular icon. Now you have to go to the raster tab if you're anywhere else on these tabs, and left click whether it's an interactive or a georeferenced image. If I left click on georeference, that means that the image itself, which should be a TIFF or has to be a TIFF if you're going to output it, has to have the geometry on a header that tells the GIS what the corner coordinates of that image are in latitude, longitude, or in UTM coordinates. This window, Insert Georeferenced Images, looks the same as it does on 6.1. So once you get to that point, you can follow the video without fear. If it's an interactive image, you would left click on that. If you had an image in there and you had it selected, you could output the GeoTIFF from there. The toolbox. Okay, the toolbox tab gives you the opportunity to add a legend. You'll notice this one is orange and highlighted. That means that there's a legend already in here. You can add a north arrow and add a scale bar. So that's toolbox. You don't have to worry about any of the other tabs over here. If you wanted to file save as, you would left click on this white text-like drop down, and you could left click Save As. You could roll all the way down to Options and left click. This is going to open the Options window, which looks like 6.1, and you'll notice where we click on File Locations tab, that just simply says where the default folders are for those on the C drive of the computer. And if you wanted to modify that, don't do it. You could actually have set up a warehouse folder or a workspace folder on your D drive and map to that. If we click on Map Display, you'll notice in some of the labs I'll ask you to change the background color. Background color is this white out here in the map window. If you left click on that, I can change that to blue, and that changes the background location. All other operations are pretty much the same. So by the time you get into lab 6, you should have this nailed. By the way, vector, let's go back to the vector tab. This is where you insert features. This left click on this, you'll be doing some digitizing soon. And it'll pop open a window down here where you select what type of feature you're going to open up and add to the data set. So you would expand US sample. There's no other features on here. If I wanted to add a city, I would left click on that. You'll notice now I don't have a pointer in my map window. I have a bullseye. And if I left clicked, it would leave a highlighted image on there, and in a minute a window will pop up and ask me whether I want to preserve that setting or not. I can populate these fields with attribute information. If I have, I'm going to cancel. Do you want to discard the current feature? Yes. Then if I'm finished with adding or inserting features, I just hit the escape key and I'm out of there. So with that in mind, Home gives you all of the sort of generalized operational zoom in, zoom out. This is fit all, which means that it'll fit everything. You also will have this if you're in another tab where the ribbon doesn't have those. You can use these up here too. So if I left click here and zoom in, it'll zoom in. By the way, one thing about zooming in, suppose I wanted to zoom into Wyoming. I wouldn't have to keep doing that. I'm going to fit all a minute here. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to left click and hold and draw a box around Wyoming, and then it fits in the screen. If I'm finished with the zoom tool, I can do one of two things to get out of that. I can hit escape key or I can right click, either way. So those are the changes in look between GeoMedia 6.1 and GeoMedia 2018. If you have any questions, feel free to write me. That's the end of this brief instructional video.